From what I understand, besides cruise bookings, it's also like come together, like what to do there, and like solving everything that could
Yeah.
happen.
So that's where my television and film background came in. So managing a trip is very similar to developing an original video or an original television show. You start with the idea, then you kind of sketch out the idea, then we present it to the client. The client goes yes or no, you rework it, then you film it, then you do all the editing, and you revise it, and then you deliver it to the client or the network. And there's all kinds of other steps in between. Well, with travel, it's very similar. You have the intake call, we do our research, we present a proposal, maybe we go back and forth a little bit on a proposal, we book the trip. Now we have to make sure that you have all the information you need up until that final payment. All right, final payment is now completed. Now, after final payment, we need to get you ready to travel. So there's a little bit more information we're going to dribble out to you as we go. And then any issues that come up along the way, I have to take care of them. Like literally right before this show, I was on the phone for an hour with Holland America fixing an issue for a client. So we fix those issues. Now we send them on their merry way, and then we're on standby if they need anything during the trip.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Refrain First. I'm Alexei, the host of the podcast, and let me welcome our today's guest, Walter Biscardi, founder of Where's Walter Travel. Hi, Walter. Great having you here.
Yeah, how you doing? Thank you so much for inviting me. And this is the lovely Orlando, Florida weather behind me right now.
Awesome weather. Thanks a lot for thanks a lot for joining. From what I read and from what I learned about you, you're a travel expert with a specialty in cruises and in corporate retreat and events and customized land travel. And you act at kind of like a personal travel agent. From your video I understood, it's like kind of providing a personal concierge service. From searching where to go, where to stay, and how to get there, and booking everything, and up to supporting people on vacation when things occasionally go wrong, because they sometimes can go wrong. So yeah, it always happens. So like, could you tell us more about like how you got there and about like Where's Walter Travel and about all
Sure.
this?
Yeah, so this was not my idea. I actually went to school for, and I worked in television, film, and marketing for over 32 years. I had my own creative agency in Atlanta, about 20 years, and then I built internal creative and marketing for other companies for a while. And then I turned 52, 53 years old. I got laid off from my last company, and then I couldn't find work for 18 months. And my background has over 13 Emmy Awards. It has 2 Peabody Awards. So it's not like I was just another guy doing video. We did it to a very high level. But even with that, couldn't find a job, over 1,000 resumes on LinkedIn. And then I met a travel agent on a cruise ship who explained we have this thing here in the United States called host agencies. It's not a franchise, but it's an opportunity for me to start my own business, but operate under the credentials of a larger agency. And what he was describing sounded a lot like what I used to do with my creative agencies. And I was like, you know what? We've been cruising for 20 years. This sounds like something I could do. And then once I jumped into it, I was all in. But this was not my idea to start with. Just kind of came along 3.5 years ago. But once I start something, I don't do it halfway.
Yeah, awesome. That's a great story. No, not great story about not being able to find a
Actually,
job.
it is a good story. You know what? I mean,
But that was a push to do something different.
hey, what I hope that people get out of something like that is, just because you can't get a job in your chosen career doesn't mean there's not something else out there for you. There's probably another passion. And for me, travel has been a passion all my life. So, okay, I jumped into it.
And from what I've read, you're in operation for like three something years, 3.5 years. And from what I've seen, the number, like you're doing almost double every year, like from 50 to 100% every year. What's the secret?
What the secret? Well, I don't think they're, things keep changing, right? Things keep evolving. We got AI tools. We have everybody can do everything now almost. But the core factors still come down to customer service, surprising the client, and building a flywheel instead of a funnel. I think so many people are so worried about that funnel, right? There's all these rules and regulations. You work the person down the funnel and you get them in, but then what happens at the bottom of the funnel? Okay, you made the sale. Now what? And to me, you want that flywheel because you want that person to come back and keep coming back. And while they're doing that, you want them to spread the word to other people. So for me, it's all about the flywheel. And I'm already setting up the seeds for my new client to start passing me along to friends and family as I'm trying to make the sale, because it's all about the customer service. It's about listening to what they want. And in terms of the travel business with me, I have never paid attention to commission, which is weird because that's how I make my money, right? I get
Huh?
paid commission when you travel. And with that case, you would think, well, he's going to push all of these high level cruises because they pay the most money. But I don't. I pay no attention to it. I make sure that the client goes on the trip that is the best for what they describe to me. This is going to meet their needs, because if I meet their need today, I get another booking tomorrow. And then I get another booking the next day. Whereas if I just go for maximum money right now and I just send them on something that's going to benefit me and not them, I'm going to get one sale, never going to hear from them again. So even with all of these tools, it's still that personal touch. It's still that please the client and surprise and delight. One of my favorite things is when they want to go somewhere and they come to me and say, well, we've already done all the research. We've looked at everything. This is the one we want to go on. And then my first, statement is, well, have you looked at this other thing? We didn't know that existed. And then we very often will find a different trip that actually suits their needs even more. So I think the secret is just showing up every day, giving the best, giving the best possible service you can, and always doing right by the client, even with all the technology, even with everything. Now, from a practical standpoint, I built my business on social media, and in particular, TikTok.
Okay.
Yeah, I started out by just simply 5 years ago, just simply giving information about cruising, because we were just starting to cruise again after the big pause. And there was a lot of bad information out there. So I was just sitting at my kitchen table with my little inflatable ships, just giving information so that you could make an informed decision whether you really wanted to get onto a cruise ship. And some of my audience was like, I wish you were a travel agent. I would totally book with you. And it was about that time I met the travel agent. So I can still trace to this day, probably 65 to 70% of our bookings go back to TikTok in some way, were referred in some way. And we just crossed $9 million in sales in our first 3.5 years. Take
Yeah.
that for what you will.
So yeah, 10 million a year. So that should be a big day.
Yeah, yeah. It's been insane. It really has. I would have been happy if we got to 3 million in sales in 3 years. 9 million is just unheard of. It's actually for a home-based agency, and that's just me and my wife. Recently, we did add two more associate agents, but it's primarily me and my wife. And, the response and the referrals just by doing right by people. They're sending us like so many people now. So yeah, it's been a heck of a ride.
Like you mentioned that you started with TikTok, but what is it nowadays? Like what are the main channels of client acquisition?
Well, I
Especially
mean,
since you're building the flywheel, so quite likely you're getting a lot of from the word of mouth from referrals.
yeah. So one of the things that I did when I was a vice president of marketing for another company was I sought out people on social media who were creating great content that fit the brand. And it wasn't necessarily that they were even using our products yet. It was just, wow, you're making really cool content. If I just give you a product, will you just go off and make something? I'm not going to give you any editorial control. You just go and do it. We found that obviously it works really well when you put no pressure on, say, an influencer or a social media content creator. And I was looking for the little guys. I wasn't necessarily going after the big guys. And the partnership worked really well. They start to expose your brand, and this person just talking about it. They're using it or whatever it is. So with Where's Walter Travel, I was very fortunate that content creators actually noticed us, and they noticed how we were building our business. They were starting to hear a buzz about us from others and started approaching us and said, "Hey, we're creating all this content. We have all these people asking, how do you book a cruise? Can we just partner with you and just send people to you, and we'll just come up with an agreement?" And that's what I did. I have a partnership agreement with now 6 YouTube channels. And it's a very simple agreement. Every booking that comes to us, they get a portion of our commission. That's all. Very clean, it's very simple. Not a monthly fee. There's no requirement beyond anything like that. And so that's probably driven about maybe 15% of our booking. But the social media and the referrals are really what's still driving the engine. The referrals getting to be more and more. My mom said I should call you. My friend said I should call you. Our friend said I should call you. And some of those are turning into, 20 or 30 cabins with like a whole family reunion or an event going on. But those partnerships, because that gives us legitimacy. The subscriber count on those 6 channels that are working with us is about 1 million subscribers. So that gives us legitimacy that, hey, if I've got 300,000 subscribers and I'm telling you this guy is legit, he must be legit.
Yep.
So that it's all about legitimacy. And then the other thing that I did right away was I established a really nice website. It clearly wasn't just built by throwing in a bunch of prompts and having it built out for me. It's a very solid website. And it surprises me how many travel agents either don't have a website or they have the most basic website in the world. And then they don't have a professional email. They have travelagency@gmail.com. And it's like, it should never be a Gmail or a Yahoo or something like that. So I did a couple of things to try to establish us as being a professional agency right from the start, just because, how do you trust a guy who's just getting started? You have to establish that somehow.
Yeah, for sure. And do you think like your current social media is adding to your legitimacy because you basically have like a quite large TikTok audience and you have some YouTube audience?
Yeah. So, well, actually, my TikTok audience is rather small. It's only 26,000, which is, minuscule compared to some of the people. And my YouTube audience is only 7,900. I don't have these massive audiences, and I never intended to have a massive audience. I favor quality over quantity. And so I would rather have 100 people watch my video and 2 of them book a cruise and get 1 million hearts and like nothing happens. So I've always focused on the conversion ratio, and the conversion that I've seen just based on the number of views that I get. Like my TikTok videos maybe get 1,000 on an average. They don't get like I do have some that get 100,000, 400,000, 500,000 views when it's a really hot topic. But if you look at my channel, you will see that the majority of them are probably around 1,000, 1,500. But I'm getting to the right people, number one. Number two, the big secret to our success has been our live streaming almost every week. So almost every Sunday morning for 90 minutes, my wife and I essentially run a cruise Ask Me Anything, where you
Okay.
just tune in on YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook. We simul stream to all 3. And we've had up to 6,000 people tune in on Sundays. We've done about 270 of those now since we launched the company. And then on Thursday nights, most Thursday nights, I will do 1 hour with a travel partner, such as Royal Caribbean, Princess Cruises, Ama Waterways, where we'll do a 1 hour, basically like a virtual cruise night, where they do a presentation, then you can ask questions. And that solidifies my relationship when I say, I know people. I've got Brett from Princess. I've got, Kathy from Royal Caribbean. Like these are people that I actually know. And these are the people that if we really need to get something done, these are the people I'm going to be contacting. So it establishes that I am a professional travel agent and I do have these, personal connections with these companies. So I think the live stream, I would guess that my live stream bring in up to 40 leads per month. And those are warm leads because they've already seen me. They're actively seeking me out. 40 leads a month is a lot for a travel agent to get off something like that. And it's not tire kickers. I'll tell you one little secret to my success, and this is a weird one. You can't find my phone number on my website, on my business cards, or any of my social media. You can't call me. You have to make an appointment. And I've done that since day one. And that means that, you have to put a little effort just to contact me. And that seems to weed out all the people who just want to get a quick price and then go check somebody else. So I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, that's amazing. Now, I've seen like that you have a lot of streams now, like live streams, and now like you explained what exactly it is. And
Mhm.
and how many like cruise bookings do you have on average, like per month? And is there a seasonality? There should be some.
I'm sorry, you cut out just a little bit. Can you go ahead and ask the question again, and I'll
Yeah,
answer?
yeah, sure. How many cruise bookings do you usually have a month? Like, and is there any kind of seasonality?
I couldn't even tell you how many per month, like a number. The thing about cruise booking, well over 100 a month, probably. But the thing about cruise bookings is, I could book a $1,000 Carnival today and then a $100,000 Silver Sea tomorrow. So it's not the number of bookings. It's like, who are you booking and what are the levels? The biggest single month we've had is 600,000 in a single month. And
No.
that's when we opened up our Christmas markets group cruise. That one went insane. But yeah, we get, dozens. I think last year, so for the whole year, we had 700 individual bookings last year.
Yeah, that's still a lot. How do you handle it? That's a lot of operation. From what I understand, besides cruise bookings, it's also like how to get there, like what to do there, like solving everything that could happen
Yeah.
to travelers,
Yes. So there's a lot
especially
of
if it's group
management.
travelers. How
Yeah.
do you
I'm sorry.
handle this?
Yeah, how do you manage it? So that's where my television and film background came in. So managing a trip is very similar to developing an original video or an original television show. You start with the idea, then you
Mhm.
kind of sketch out the idea, then we present it to the client, and the client goes yes or no, you rework it, then you film it, then you do all the editing, and you revise it, and then you deliver it to the client or the network. And there's all kinds of other steps in between. Well, with travel, it's very similar. You have the intake call, we do our research, we present a proposal, maybe we go back and forth a little bit on a proposal, we book the trip. Now we have to make sure that you have all the information you need up until that final payment. All right, final payment is now completed. Now, after final payment, we need to get you ready to travel. So there's a little bit more information we're going to dribble out to you as we go. And then any issues that come up along the way, I have to take care of them. Like literally right before this show, I was on the phone for an hour with Holland America fixing an issue for a client. So we fix those issues. Now we send them on their merry way, and then we're on standby if they need anything during the trip. And then we ask for a survey at the end when they get back and tell us, hey, how was everything? So that's a lot of work. And if we were
Mm.
doing that manually, Rebecca and I would go insane, absolutely insane. So I actually started out when I was working in the industry. I used ClickUp, I used Workfront, I used Asana, I used Trello, I used everything under the sun. And I actually started this company using ClickUp, which is really a creative management tool for running projects. But we ran each trip as a project essentially.
Yeah.
And we didn't use any automations. We just kind of had a whole bunch of task reminders for us. And about 6 months in, I knew this is not going to work for travel long term. And a new company called Turn for Travelers had just come out. And I was very intrigued because I saw some Workfront, I saw some Asana, I saw some Trello, I saw like a little bit of the tools that I liked kind of blended in there, and they were literally just getting started. And where they were starting from was so far beyond where some of these other tools ever started from. So I was like, oh, these guys are starting from a good place. Let me go meet with them. So I actually met with the team, very impressed. And now 2.5 years later, since we've been running that tool, we have a whole series of automation built in now. So let's say you book a Princess cruise. You book a
Hmm.
Princess cruise, we put that deposit down. We instantly, all I do is just turn on a workflow, and immediately your final payment, email reminders are set. Your 45-day check-in is set. Your 14-day check-in is set. The email to say, have a great cruise is like everything is all set in terms of emails to go out. And that's the biggest part of it right there, especially the final payment. You don't want to forget that, obviously. And so that's how we manage it. And what we do, again, I brought this over from my television days, is every trip has a unique serial number. We don't do a trip called Walter's Big Family Vacation June 26th. Because what if Walter has 5 trips? Then it's going to be Walter's this trip, Walter's that trip. And then when I go to talk to my wife about, can you please check the Walter's big trip? Or which big trip are you talking about? And then we're going to spend 5 minutes going back and forth going, which trip? So every trip has a unique serial number. It's just a 6-digit system. And so when we're talking internally about trips, we're talking about trip 2569. And there's only one trip, 2569, and we know what that is. And that's just from a management perspective, so I can keep track. And I do. I have one client in particular. She has 12 trips on the books at all times. And if it was, Agnes and blank, we would spend days trying to find it because she had multiple trips on the same cruise line, on the same ships. So that would get very confusing. So Turn for Travelers is our big secret weapon. And we use that to run our entire business.
Hmm.
And then the other side of that is I mentioned just briefly earlier about the host agency model, how we can book under other bigger agencies' credentials. That company is KHM Travel Group. They're out of Cleveland, Ohio. They have a tremendous support system, tremendous support system. So they have our back. So that's what makes me feel very comfortable knowing that we can keep pushing harder and harder. And if I need any training, if I need any advice, if I need anything, KHM is right there, and they have some of the best travel agent support. I mean, they have just some of the best support ever. I never had support like this when I ran my own company before. It's just nice to have that company back there. And yeah, I think that's how we do it. It's mainly Turn for Travelers and then having the support of KHM.
Awesome, awesome. And like from what I see, you're still scaling quite fast, but still, what's preventing you from scaling even better? Is it sales? Is it like sales channels, or is it like amount of work?
The only thing that's really keeping us is finding the right people.
I,
There are a lot of people who suddenly got into travel as everything was restarting, but they got in it for the wrong reason. They got in it because what's in it for me? I want some free trips. I want to be able to go here for free. I want to get this perk. I want to get that perk. And it was all about me, 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 me. And that's the wrong reason to get into travel. Because I mean, if you think about it, I don't know what it's like where you are, but where we are, people might only get 2 weeks off a year. And if you screw up their vacation, I take that very personally. I mean, it terrifies me to potentially screw up somebody's vacation. And so trying to find the right people who have that same passion, that same drive, that it's not about me. If I do, the belief is if you do everything right, commissions, everything else will take care of itself, but you got to do right by people. So the biggest issue for me scaling right now, I have 2 associate agents that are now booking with us. I'd like to get 2 more, and then I need a full-time assistant. If I can get my full-time assistant and I can get 2 more associate agents, I think, we can go from, we came just short of 4 million in sales last year. I think we could push even as high as 10 million a year in sales if I can get 2 more associates and another assistant.
so it's amount of hands that can do work. So it's
Yeah.
not sale. It's not sales limitation.
I mean, it's what, a $10 billion industry. Really, the limitation is global situations, right? My entire career is predicated on the free ability to travel the world. And as we're seeing right now, that is not necessarily the case. And I have clients right now who are like, well, I don't want to go to the Western Mediterranean right now. I'd like to stick with the Eastern Mediterranean. So while all this looks great on the books, I never lose sight of the fact that, yeah, these are sales based on the fact that people are going to be able to travel this year, next year. I have bookings in 2028. And so the only limitation is being able to freely travel the world and freely travel where these people want to go. And if they can't, all the bookings don't matter because they're just going to go away and I'm not going to get paid. So that's really the biggest limitation for us right now.
The geopolitical, yeah. I've heard it like a few times already. Especially like yesterday, I had a call with a lady with founder of FX Yachts. They
Hmm.
operating in Caribbean and in Mediterranean, and they say like they have a decline in sales
Hmm.
right now because of the last 11 days.
Yeah.
What's happening there?
Yeah, it's insane. It's insane, and that's the only thing that terrifies me is it all looks great on the books, and everybody's like, "Congratulations, Walt! This is amazing. This is awesome." And it's like they still got to go. These people still need to travel, or I don't make a dime.
Yeah, yeah. Sure. Like with
Yeah,
regards to the trends, so we touched this geopolitical situation. Like you started the operation since probably right after COVID, right?
I did.
Uh,
October of
and
2022, we launched.
yeah. And what do you see that's changed over that period of time? What are the biggest shifts in demand?
I think well, obviously we're getting much bigger ships now than we've ever had before. That's the one thing. I think the cruise lines, at least in the Caribbean, certainly, and maybe a little bit in Europe, they're trying to make the ship the destination so that you may not necessarily leave the ship and you'll spend more money. Like I think if they could, American cruise lines would do cruises to nowhere like they do in Singapore,
Hmm.
where they don't even go to an island because we don't want to. We just want you to stay on the ship and spend all your money. I think there's been a big emphasis, especially on your Royal Caribbean, Disney, Norwegian, Carnival, to make the ship more of a destination so people don't leave the ship. We're giving them so much to do. We want them to stay on the ship and and enjoy the ship. And to me, that's okay once in a while. I mean, yes, is it fun to get on an icon of the seas and just stay on it for all 7 days? Yeah, it is, because there's so much to do. But that kind of loses what cruising used to be all about, which was, exploring new destinations and going to new places. Now, the smaller cruise lines are starting to pick that up. What we're starting to see now, especially since the restart, people are putting more emphasis onto the bucket list trips. We're doing that Antarctica trip now. We're doing that Africa safari. We're doing, we now want to go on. We don't want to do that 7 day Caribbean anymore. We want to
Yeah.
go to other places. And so we're starting to see a real emphasis on quality and service versus, just the same. Like, I've always done Royal Caribbean, so I'm going to do Royal Caribbean. It's like, well, I'm going to Norway. I know Royal Caribbean does it, but I'd like to get a better experience. So we are starting to see, if I'm going to spend this money, I'd like to spend it on quality versus just the same old, same old. So here in the States, certainly trying to make the ships the destination by making them bigger and bigger. But then at the same time, I think clients are still getting out there to explore the world and do longer. I think our average cruises are starting to push out to like 13 to 17 days now, where they were always 7 in the beginning. And I think that's pretty cool. One client just booked a 60-day trip, round trip from the US around Australia and back. That's
Hmm.
awesome. That's awesome.
60 day. Yeah. Yeah, I've also heard that. And I had a chat with a guy from Norway. He's running local tours around the fjords, and he
Hmm.
said like they opened just another business segment. They were running like 7 to 10 days like tours, and now they have like 1 day experiences for the cruise industry, because like a lot of cruises coming to Norway, and
Hmm.
they like another business segment to like satisfy the needs of these customers.
Yeah.
So yeah, it
Yeah.
definitely happens. What else do you see in the market?
What else am I seeing in the market? Well, like I said earlier, there is a push now to get the best value. I think. I think
Hmm.
people are starting to realize, there's this whole nickel and diming that comes out all the time, especially over here. That is probably the biggest topic of conversation. Nickel and dime. There's a saying, you pay one price to get on the ship, you pay another price to get off the ship. And that's really becoming a bigger number now. It's a bigger stretch than what it used to be. And I've noticed on some of the cruise lines, like we were just on a Norwegian cruise at a Norwegian Encore, and I've never had so many sales flyers at my door for a 7 day cruise. There was like 3 or 4 a day. Buy this, do this, buy this. So there's a real emphasis on these cruise lines to get you to spend more. And there is, at least for my clients, are starting to push back, saying, enough. I'm getting tired of constantly being sold. I just want to go and have a cruise. I want to go and relax. What else is there out there? And, the answer was Virgin Voyages, because it was nice and quiet. It was relaxed. There was no sales pressure. But even there, clients are like, well, what else is smaller? Maybe just really relaxing. So the push to get away, I don't mind spending a little bit more if I'm not going to be pressured to buy, 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 buy. I mean, it's getting to be like a little bit ridiculous. Even I would say it's getting to be a little bit ridiculous. Some of the stuff that they're trying to get you to do, some of the stuff they're trying to get you to buy. I mean, the iris photo, I don't know if anybody's been on a cruise lately, but they want to take a picture of your eye and then put your eyes next to, why? Why do we need that? We don't really need that. But I think that's it. It's just getting a quality trip now. It's not about just get the cheapest trip. Let me get a quality trip where I can get exactly where, if I want to relax and do nothing, I can relax and do nothing. If I want to go all day long, fine, let's get you on an icon of the seas and you go all day long. But that is the big push. I'm sick of nickel and diming. What else have you got?
Yeah, I see. That's what big cruise companies do.
Hmm.
Do you see any change in behavior of the travelers, especially with the newer generation? Because they are like used to access information really, really fast, and they come prepared, and they are demanding, and then they want it now. They will not wait. They're not ready to wait for 3 days. You provide itinerary.
What's interesting is the newer generation. What is it, Gen Z? I can't keep it up
Yeah.
with all the letters, right? Whatever letter is the new one, the up and coming, they're actually using travel advisors more than just about any other,
Oh,
or
really?
they're quicker to use a travel advisor. I think because, well, one, they're all busy, right? They're all doing like 20 different things, and I just don't have the time to research. Or if they do go in to do the research, they get very confused very quick because there's just information overload. You're trying to, like you say, well, I want to go on Royal Caribbean. Okay, well, which of the 27 ships do you want to go on? I didn't know there were 27. Where do you want to go? I don't know. When do you want to go? I don't know. It's like all of these things come into play. And then they're like, oh, I want to go on this ship. They get it all settled. And then they realize, oh, it doesn't sail out of Los Angeles. It only sails out of Florida, but I want to go out of Los Angeles. And I think there's an information overload. And it's funny how the younger generation is like, you take care. It's almost like what? It's almost like Uber Eats or something like that. I don't want to deal with driving to the restaurant to go get the food. Let me have somebody else bring it to me. It's almost like the same mindset with travel. I don't want to deal with all this. Here's what I want to do. You figure it out and tell me where we're going. And I see that especially with the younger generation. With my generation, maybe a little bit younger, I see a lot of people who have planned their own trips and they come to me and go, well, I've never used a travel agent before, but all these people say I should. So let me just try it. And I usually win those people over on the first trip because they're like, well, we didn't realize that you would just like literally take care of everything and I don't have to do a thing. Or you found this other cruise that we had absolutely no idea existed for less than what we were going to do, or for maybe a little bit more, but it's a better cruise. So, I mean, I don't see any shifts away, even though it's getting easier and easier to plan your own trips. There's so many moving parts to it that we have that generation that's just used to somebody else doing it for me. Let me order that meal and have somebody bring it to me. Let me order it from Amazon, let them bring it to me. So let me just let Walt take care of it and tell me where I'm going. And so I
Yeah.
think, I don't think the travel agent's going to go away. I think if anything, the ease of use has made it easier for us to sell our services because there are so many ways. Like, who do you book with? Do you book it with, booking.com? Do you use these guys, those guys, those guys? What's the difference between all these things? And if I think there's just too many ways for people to go out there and book. And if they can just go to one guy or one woman or one company and just say, you know me now, I want to go to Italy in October. You know what my style is. Go find me a ship. Okay, I'll take care of that. You go about your day, and I'll let you know in a day or two. So I think there's a real comfort factor to that, and there's also okay, he's taking care of it. I'm going to go do this other thing.
How many are there like moving parts with regards to like booking the trips that you mentioned? Like you need to understand like for which destination it starts, like what companies are there, what ships are out there, like how many moving parts are there to successfully book a trip?
I mean,
What's the level of complexity? Because it's kind of everything is present on like cruise like booking platforms, aggregators and stuff.
you're right,
Why is it so
right.
hard for new generation to book it?
Yeah. Well, one of the things that we do, I always tell everybody that we're a travel partner, first of all, because there's some people, they literally come to me with a spreadsheet, right? They've got it all
Yeah.
planned out and all this stuff. So I tell everybody that, look, we're a partner. We will do as much or as little as you want. But, some of the moving parts, obviously, you may need travel from their home to the airport,
Uh-huh.
transfers from the airport to the hotel. That we got to get them a hotel because you're almost always going to come into that port city at least one day early. And for a lot of my clients that are flying to Europe or destinations beyond, they want to spend 2 or 3 days, so I got to find them a hotel. I might need to figure out some tours and some transfers and things like that within the city or the destination. It might even be a full blown land tour. I have booked some where there is like a 5 or 6 or 7 day land tour that happened before or after the cruise. And that's all.
Yeah.
So then we got to figure out how those interconnect. I've got to get them to the ship. And if they have questions, obviously, one, I got to get them to the ship, but also they need to understand, well, what's on the ship, what's available to you, when do you book things, and all of that. That's also where Turn comes in. Turn does a lot of AI work on the front end. So when I build a proposal, it pulls in everything about every single ship. So that's awesome. So when I first send a proposal to a client and they open it up, they're like, oh my God, you've got deck plans, you've got the restaurants, you've got all this stuff. And they don't know that I didn't do anything. All I did was just drag it in and boom, there it is. And then they may need transfers after the cruise to either get to an airport or maybe they're going to do some more tours. And then, of course, they're going to fly home. Maybe they want that transportation. We've actually done it where it's literally door to door. I got a car is going to come pick you up, it's going to take you to the airport. Everything's going to happen, and a car is going to pick you up and take you home. So there are a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of logistics. There's a lot of what do you think about this tour? Should we do this? Should we do that? Especially when they're comparing cruise line tours to the independent tours. And of course, you don't want to miss the ship. And so there's always a lot of discussion about that. The biggest thing that we talk about is travel insurance to make sure that they are protected in the case that either they have to cancel or something happened. We just had that. I took a group to Hawaii in
Mhm.
February, and one of my clients had to cancel 2 weeks before the cruise because his dad took a turn for the worse. And luckily, he got the travel insurance and he got paid his claim before we even got on the ship. So that's actually probably the biggest moving part is convincing people. What I like to say to them is you don't need travel insurance until you need travel insurance, and then it's too late. So that's probably one of the biggest moving parts. But yeah, it's just all those. Making the cruise is easy. Now getting to there and out of there, and all the things that happen in between.
Yeah.
That's where leaning on the expertise. I get emails all the time. What would you suggest? How are we going to do this? How are we going to do? I just had a client wrote to me before the show and she was all concerned. She was like, this person can't go and I've got to change this and I got to change that. And I got to change all this other stuff. I was like, okay, that'll be done by the end of the day. Okay, great. There was just a whole bunch of moving parts. She's got an Alaska cruise tour and she's got 11 people flying out of different airports, all meeting up in different places. And I had to arrange all the flights and the transfers and everything. And she was concerned as she was throwing me the big curveball. And it was like, no, that's actually not that big of a deal. I'll just call the cruise line and we'll take care of it. So yeah. I don't. How many moving parts are there? A lot.
Yeah, I hear. Like, do you automate it somehow for yourself? Because like that's a lot of moving parts.
Hmm.
Booking flights for 11 people is already a lot of work.
I
And
hate
then
booking
there is
flights. I'll
like,
be honest. I hate booking flights, but I
yeah, and
do
then
it
there is
because they want
accommodation,
me to.
and
Yeah.
then there are tours, and then there is cruise ship, and getting back.
Yes. Yes, and it's the worst when, like something happens and now we've got to try changing the flights or something like that. I've been fortunate, that we've had minimal of that. But
Hmm.
and the flights are an interesting animal because the flights we get no commission on that, zero. The
Yeah.
airlines don't pay us anything. And we never tell the clients that, but it's something that we're going to do because it's part of the trip and we're going to provide that value add. And if you want me to book the flights, but one of the things, again, I said I'm a partner with my clients. I know that booking through my third party booking engine that I have to use, I don't see every flight and my rates might be a little bit higher. So, what I actually do right up front with my client, I'll tell them, here's the airline. These are the flight numbers that I found. If you want to go look at the airline and if you get a better rate from the airline, go ahead and book it. And they're like, okay, this is great. And sometimes they do. And then sometimes they're like, nope, your rate's better. Go ahead and book it. So that's part of being a partner, just not automatically just saying, yep, you want me to do this, I'm going to charge you money. It's like, this is what I found. You might be able to find it cheaper. Take this information and see if you can find something. And if they do, and that's just a win-win. They love that.
Awesome, awesome. And point why I'm asking all of that is because like with the age of AI, it's not AI is not only about like helping you to write emails or build some simple stuff. Nowadays, it's getting more and more agentic.
Yeah.
And are you afraid that like your job will be replaced by AI agent in, in some field? Because like it becoming agentic, and people are getting used to working with AI agents who get more and smarter every day, I would say.
Hmm.
And with advanced tools, they can kind of build all. There will be no human touch. There will be no nothing, but still, it can be
Yeah.
faster, cheaper.
I mean, you probably know already. I mean, AI is not perfect,
Just
and it takes somebody with knowledge to know when it gets it wrong.
Yeah.
Like, and again, I keep saying today, but I actually did all these things today. I just did I've had an Alaska packing and guide thing that we send out to all of our clients. And I've had it for like 2 years and I knew it needed to be refreshed. And so I'm working with Claude and I throw it in there and we're working back and forth. And we came up with an absolutely, I was like, wow, this is better than anything I developed. But it's a lot of my information is information it pulled in. But there was a whole big thing about passports that was 100% wrong. And if I didn't know that, then I would have just sent that off to a client. And the client would have been like, wait, we need passports for every single cruise to Alaska? It's like, no, actually, you don't. You only need them if you start or end in Canada. And I find, AI gets things wrong. Like AI will get outdated information or it just simply misunderstands what it's seeing and then it presents it to you in such a way that it's not right. So you still have to have that knowledge.
Yeah.
Like, I think AI is just a great augmenter. Like, it makes all of us look better if you use it the correct way. But I don't think it can replace a true travel agent because there are horror stories out there, and I've seen them on social media where the AI gave you this whole wonderful itinerary. You go to execute it, and like half of it's wrong, or it's outdated, or the trains aren't running on that day, or the taxis aren't really there, or the thing isn't even there. It's not even open. But so I've seen these horror stories with AI. Just people totally relying on it, and it's like, yes, we rely on it to get information, but then we go and verify and make sure that if it says
Yeah,
this thing is going to
absolutely.
be there, right? So, but like my
Absolutely. But
AI.
yeah,
Oh, I'm
no,
sorry.
AI is about like what you put in. So if you put
Hmm.
some, like, like on one of interviews, I got a saying like shit in, shit out.
Yeah,
If you put
yeah,
something wrong in and it's trained on all these Reddits and stuff, and if you train it on the wrong information, it has wrong information.
exactly.
But what happens when it gets trained on the right information? That's why I was asking about all the moving parts and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So one day somebody could like train it on the correct information and it will be using
Mhm.
up-to-date tools, up-to-date information, and will be able to provide like correct itineraries and make the correct bookings.
It might.
What is that will differ the human travel agent versus the AI one?
Well, I mean, so the AI tool I mean, it can currently make your itineraries. I don't know if it can book anything for you, but it can currently make itineraries, and they may or may not be correct. But in the future, I don't know if AI is going to be able to actually book. It probably will. But what will it do on the follow up when, like today, my client's like, oh, this person isn't coming. This isn't happening. That isn't happening. Is AI going to go ahead and contact Holland America and stay on the phone with Holland America for an hour, waiting while the supervisors go back and forth and try? And then the supervisor misunderstood what we wanted. So I had to explain it again and then they had to fix that. So that's where I don't know how that's going to work when it comes to the resolutions. And also, AI can't actually take the trip. So we've been on 14 different cruise lines. We've been on well over 40 cruises. So AI can look at the Royal Caribbean icon of the seas and go, well, based on all the parameters you gave us, this is exactly the ship for you. But I don't want to have a lot of children on my cruise. This AI is sending you on a ship with 2,000 children. So that may not be the best vacation. So I don't think anything is ever going to replace the human actually going and experiencing and understanding that when you tell me this is what I want, this is the type of ship I want, and this is where I want to go, I don't think anything replaces the human factor of actually going and seeing the ships in person, going on the ship. What is the service really like? I can look at all these reviews and I can see all these amazing reviews on celebrity. But until I go on a celebrity ship and I see what these people are actually like, you don't understand that. So AI is going to do a lot more, but it's still for me, I still think that human touch is still going to be required in order to service you continuously. AI will probably get it right sometime, but when things go wrong, that's what I'm curious about. What happens when things go wrong or I need to make a bunch of changes?
With regards to children of the ship, it's just another parameter. But with regards to solving problems that you mentioned, that like stay with somebody on the phone and ask them to go check, and yeah, this is
Yeah.
ships themselves are not ready, not ready like for AI
Ships
to.
are different, man. Or you go on the Oceana Serena with 700 people, and you go on, Royal Caribbean, two completely different animals. And what's it really like at night? Well, I can tell you, it's quiet. So yeah, yeah.
I see it. But where do where do you think the market is moving? What are your predictions about like next year or two? Because
Gosh,
it is changing, definitely.
well, yeah, I mean, the family lines, like I said, they're definitely looking to go bigger and bigger. There's a real push here in the States to get their private islands up and running so we don't have to go to other countries anymore. We're gonna build a ship for 8,000 people. We're gonna keep you on our ship, and then we're gonna take you to our island and maybe one or two others. So that's a big push here in the States. I think in the rest of the world, the push is to go to more unique and different destinations. The same old, it's just not working. Carnival Corporation just announced they're going to Africa. I never would have Africa and Carnival in the same sentence. It's not something I ever thought I'd hear. But this is what you're starting to see. We're going to make bigger ships. We're going to keep everybody on our ships in the Caribbean. But now, when we go to the rest of the world, we need to find different ports because everybody's getting tired of going to the same port, same itinerary, same this, same that. That's what I'm seeing. Like we're seeing a lot of very unique itineraries, starting in one place, ending in another, but that are like 12, 13, 14, 15 days long, whereas in the past they were always 7. Let's just go 7 days, go back and forth, get everybody. But those are the two big things that I see, at least in cruising, is that the ship is becoming more and more the destination, and let's keep people in our ecosystem. And then let's see how we can change these itineraries to take people to different ports that they haven't been to, but keep them on our brand.
Yeah, I see. I see. And what else besides the ships itself, like with different generations, maybe with AI, maybe like what other trends do you see will be like the most dominant in coming year or two?
I mean, technology obviously on the ships has become dominant. When we first started cruising, Wi-Fi was like a luxury, and now it's a necessity. Everybody got to have good Wi-Fi, so that's big. And the technology on the ships themselves has become absolutely amazing. That's where I think some of that younger generation is like, oh, this is not what I thought it was. I thought cruising was, Cunard used to be where everybody dressed up in suits and gowns and went to dinner and did all of that. And it's like, no, now you've got Broadway shows, you've got fireworks, you've got big parties taking place up on the thing. We've got roller coasters, we've got all this stuff. Or if you don't want any of that stuff, we've got these really beautiful ships like the Silver Sea Silver Ray, which is a 5-star resort on the water. And it's just like going to a Caribbean beach resort, except the ship's going to glide along the water for you. But the technology within the ships are making them just over the top stunning, giving new options for people. The restaurant, I think that's the other part that's really drawing people in too. The food game has been elevated so high because everybody thinks they're a foodie now. And when you've got these unique dining experiences, that's what a lot of them are trying to do now. Let's get a unique dining experience. Let's get a different dining experience. And is technology having anything to do with that? Probably, because they can do more in smaller spaces. I think, and the other thing they're doing too, they're taking a lot of their older ships and they're bringing them up. They're not just letting these ships just continually run and run and run. Now, if they bring them in to dry dock, they're starting to enhance. Like even the old ships have amazing Wi-Fi now. They're adding all new screens in the theaters to make make these shows even more amazing than they used to be. Out by the pool, they're all getting these gorgeous state of the art screens, so we can have movies out there, we can have shows, we can watch sporting events. What I like that I see, I think Celebrity is a great example. They're investing $250 million per ship for their Solstice class, which is a great class of ships. They've been around almost 20 years. They do need a refresh, and they're not just refreshing it. They're putting $250 million to reinvent spaces, to reinvent experiences on the ship, adding new venues, revising old venues, and things like that. So I think that's what's going to keep attracting people. Like, wow, they've just added this. Oh, they've added that. And when you bring that all the way down to the smaller ship, Royal Caribbean is finally going to introduce a new small ship class, hopefully next year. And I can't wait because they've done all this amazing technological advances going all the way up to the Icon class. I've said, man, if they take all that stuff and now bring it down into a smaller ship, it's going to be incredible. So waiting to see that. So I think the technology's really come along in your Wi-Fi, your touch, all the touch that you can do, entertainment and enhancement on the ship, and then just all of the things that you can do, making a much better experience for the audience.
Yeah, sounds amazing.
Hmm.
Awesome. And I left this last question till the end. If somebody will be watching this, like, how much can I earn as an agent if it's not a secret, like of a commission?
Wait, how much can they what as an agent?
Can I earn of a commission? Like you're not charging your clients anything, but you're definitely getting.
No, I don't charge anything. But what I'll tell you,
if it's not a secret.
oh, it's not really a secret because at KHM Travel Group, we have levels
Yeah.
that you can do. And those levels are based on commission. And what I'll tell you is now, first of all, it takes about 18 months, maybe 24 months just to get it going where you're getting a steady paycheck.
Okay.
I am a freak of nature. Nobody else built a business this fast. I still don't know how we did it, but we did it. In general, a brand new startup agency is having a good year if you sell $250,000 to $500,000 worth of sales in the first year. Like that's an amazing year. We did 1.5 million. So that was like beyond. But it still took 18 to 24 months to start making money because they have to travel, right? So I don't get paid until you travel. Just because I made the booking today, you're traveling in 2028. My money's coming to me in 2028.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, a KHM Travel Group has these levels based on commission, and the Diamond Elite level is a minimum of 250,000 in earned commission, and I was Diamond Elite for 2025. I won't give you an exact amount, but I will tell you that I'm at Diamond Elite level at KHM.
Yeah. No, I was rather wondering like what percentage of the like trip value. Well, okay.
Well, it's different based on the travel partner. You got different percentage levels, and then for something you got bonus commission, and then but you have to keep in mind for every cancellation, that's commission that's taken out of my pocket.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, thanks a lot for sharing all this information. That was a really great discussion. I expected it to be like 30, 40 minutes, but we are closing after an hour. So it kept going.
I can't shut up. I'm sorry. I love this stuff. I love traveling and I love talking about it. And I love talking about technology. And I'm so thankful that you reached out. Thank you.
Thank you too. Is there anything else you would like to add on top of that before we wrap up?
All I can tell you is if you folks need some help with travel, just reach out at Where's Walter Travel. But whatever you do, work with a travel agent because we're here to help you have a great vacation. So thanks so much for inviting me.
Yeah, and it's cost-free. Awesome. Yeah,
That's
so
great.
thanks a lot, Basil.
My pleasure.
Yeah, and have a great day.
Yeah, you too. And best of luck to you. Seriously, best of luck to you over there. I hope you and your family and everything stay safe and be well over there.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it.
All
Okay,
right.
bye.
Bye.